All right, guys. So, anything you want particularly you wanted to discuss before we start? We were discussing about the Appian objects. So, if anything is in your mind, you have done practice, you want to discuss, please let me know. Have you guys created your credentials?
Yeah, yes, sir. But for training purpose, I didn't get it. They are telling like lot of requests are pending. We will sort it out
Yeah.
quickly.
Did you use your own email address, personal email address, or the company's?
The companies only, sir.
You will get it there. I mean, it takes some time, but personal, it takes a lot of time. Maybe they don't share addition. Okay, that's fine. Other, I will be sharing. Let the WhatsApp group be created. I will share the details there. Okay, you guys can practice there. All
Yeah.
right. Eh, Okay, so let me ask you this guys then a question. What is a CDT? Just a reminder. What is a CDT?
Custom data type it is.
Yeah, that's a full form, but what it does, I mean, okay. And how many ways we can create a CDT? And what are those? Forget. All right. So CDT is a combination of multiple primitive data types where we can collect all those different primitive data types to bring one structure. Acronym is a custom data type. Yes, it can be created in 4 ways from the scratch, duplicating the one from database table or view, or fourth is the XST file. Okay. What are the JP annotations you can talk about? What are the JP annotations we discussed the other day? Anyone? Come on, guys, speak up. What are the JP annotations we had? Wow. So we had at the rate of ID, which represent that particular column is a primary key. We also had the at the rate of generated value, which represent that a particular column is auto increment. We had the at the rate of column attributes, which has multiple things like name of the database column name, the length of it, and the type of it. And we also had the at the rate of ID, which is like for at the rate of table, sorry, which is for the which table it is being connected. So we talk about these four, right? All right. So we created this data store as well. Now, what's the next thing? The next thing is a record type. So I'd say that record type is a very powerful tool in Appian, and slowly it is replacing the use of CDT and data store entities. Okay, not quickly, but yeah, it will replace that because the record type is a combination of everything. You can also create a data structure out of it. What kind of data, just like the way we are holding into the data type, the CDT. Same way, a record also gives you the data types, data structure. Okay, record also allows you to display the information. Okay, it also allows you to take the action on it. You can create a record, you can delete a record, you can update a record, right? It can also gives you the different views of a data. If you wanted to display some audit trail of your record, if you want to display the list of comments for a particular record, you can have different views of it. Record types are basically 4 types you can create. It's from the database table or view. Like the source could be the database tables. Second is the processes. If you have running processes, you can also create a record out of it. Third is the web service call. Like here we can bring the data from anywhere, any third party. If you wanted to include, you can create a data source of any from anywhere else. And then fourth one is recently added, is called Salesforce. Like if you have Salesforce configuration, if you have Salesforce account, you can directly configure your Salesforce account to the record type, and then it will be get connected, and the data source and data will be available here. Right. So these are the four types. Also, the record types helps you to have an access of the view. Like if you wanted to combine two different tables and get a data, right? So we need to create a view out of it. Record type also allows you to I mean it won't let you know to create the view. You can have the same features by adding the relationship feature here, so you can connect two different records and you can still have the the view output on your record. Now why we slowly Appian is moving to a record. So records is very faster in compared to the database query and all. Like let's say for example, if I'm going to take a query from database and which is taking 10 seconds, in record we will get in 1 second. So that's how the faster record is, 10 times faster than any other queries that we do from the database. So that is the use of record here, right? Okay. Let me show you how we can create a record. So we go to the record, we give a name. Let's say I want to create a record of employee. So it will automatically take these in bracket. I'll just put WT so we can understand which application we have, because there could be multiple employees record. So I'll say related to employees. Employees. Okay. I'll say create. Now, once we create it, it will give us securities. Sorry. So it will say that tell us about your data. What is your data source? Once you click on this, tell us your data. Now we'll see all the four types that we discussed: database, processes, Salesforce, and web services. So as of now, our data is residing in the database. All the configuration is same. It's just which data point you want to select here. Apart from that, everything is same. So let's say I'm going to use the database. I hit next. Now there are two things: sync feature and without a sync feature. So sync feature is very important, because this is what that it has been recently added, which allows you to do the most quickly response from the database. Okay. So let's say go with the sync feature, and if you don't use the sync feature, you cannot use the relationship feature as well. So we need to go with the sync feature, and I'll hit next. Now here we can search for a table. So I'm going to search for a table. So we had one table called LMS employees. Now once I select this table, you see this, the data preview is already here. It means all this data is coming from directly from database. We haven't done any combination, any query, not any other configuration, right? We are just selecting the table. So here also we can change it to the camel casing, because by default it takes the all in lowercase. Now, if you guys remember, we have created this as a CDT part as well, right? So here I'm just saying that okay, these are the columns are available. I'll say finish. Oops. Oh, any. Is this what we have in database? All right. So now what happens is that data is being connected. It's everything is there. Now if you just click on the save changes, and then if you go to the tempo, option here. Just give me a second. Unable to single database system issues. Some issues. Oops. The server is down. That's fine. Okay. Just give me a second. I think, yeah, it's done. Now, if I go to this record view, right, here, we should be able to see all those record that we have. You see, it open the Appian tempo page, and here we are able to see all this record displayed. So we haven't done anything. We just configure which table it has to point out, and everything is there. We have the data grid is created. We have the search feature is enabled. We have this download export Excel. Even if you click on this one, right, it will download your data, all your data here. You do not have to write any single code. You can filter the data as well, right? So all those code will be get written automatically. You do not have to do anything. Out of box feature is available for your record. So that is such a powerful tool Appian Record is. Any question, guys? It's just the overview of this objects. We will be discussing in depth more. Just giving the overviews. Is this clear? Any questions?
Yes, sir. If we add a new data type, it will automatically sync here, or we need
No,
to do.
we need to do the mapping. So what we need to do is that we go, suppose a new column is being added to the database.
Yes.
We go to the data model, and here uh, map record fields. So here we have to add it. It will listed here. You just have to check this checkbox.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
you will be able to see that particular column combination. You just have to check this checkbox. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Yeah. And then if you want to add another record, you can go with the add relationship feature. Good question. Thank you. All right. So this is about a record. We will be seeing more on details. I'm just creating it for dummy purpose. Now comes the process model. So what's a process model is that, process model is something that we define for a workflow, how our data should be flowing from one point to other point. If you wanted to go with some approval of process or not, so that's the process model. Let me open some existing process model so I can show you guys. Now let's say we have an apply leave process model where we are applying the leave. So on the left hand side, you will see all the smart services are available. The smart services is that which is used for our fulfillment of our requirement, like sending an email, generating a document, calling another process. So all those things are called smart services. Here we have seeing that there are multiple smart services is being used and how it's working. So here in the start node, we have an interface saying that, whenever this process will start, an interface will be displayed that, okay, this is your request form. You can fill it up. If user click on cancel, it will take the top path and then come to the end directly without doing anything. If users click on submit, then it will come here. It will call a sub process where it can perform the database write. Again, it can call another process where we can send an email, and then we also displaying the confirmation page here. So these all the smart services is being used. Process model is basically how we are flowing our data from one point to other point to achieve our requirement. Here we are splitting it, so we are also displaying the configuration page, and we are also calling another sub process for a merger approval. So that this is how the process model looks like, and we define our workflow. Okay, any question? Okay, what next? So the other object type is process report. So if you see here, Appian also gives you the one process report, like in the monitor tab. Here we don't have anything, so we don't have. Let me open here. Under the monitor tab, we are seeing the details of our running processes in the backend. So if you go here, you see these are the example of the running processes that is executing in the backend. So these are the process reports, which out of box reports Appian gives to you, where you can go and open a particular instance and you can check if something goes wrong, then what's the error and what is happening there. Okay. So if you let me show you, if we have one of them. So there's multiple issues are here. So if you open this process instance, and if it is breaking somewhere, we can go and check what is the issue. So we go to the process details and we go to the error tab, where it can be noted down whatever the error is there, and you can fix it. Okay. So here you can go and check the processes details. So Appian creates one process report for you, where you can go and open your particular process. Now this is a throughout the process instances running. If you have any application for yourself, inside the application also, if you have any particular instances running, you can see that details here. So we can also build a process report for our purpose. Like let's say we are, as I said, that we are not using this tempo page, we will be using the sites for our application. So there we will be required to create process reports for displaying the list of tasks is available for a user and all, right? So that's what the use of process reports. Any questions? Okay. And then we will be not be touching these two things, robotic task and robotic pool, because these are for the RPA. If we go for the RPA application training, then we will be seeing these things. Then we have interface. Interface is basically what you wanted to display, how you wanted to user interaction form. We will be creating that. That's an interface, very simple. And this report is basically a use of an interface. If you are displaying any chart and all, and you wanted to display that as a report, like pie chart or any line chart you are creating, basically that will be, you will be creating inside an interface, and then that interface we will integrate here to the report, so we can see the reports. Site is another user interaction form, as we discussed, right? So instead of using tempo, we will be using sites to work on our applications. It's just a and then we have portals. It has been introduced recently, I think last second or third release. So portal is basically, we talk about what, right? And let's say if you have Indian Post Services, right, where you wanted to search for any of your applications, or any of your consignment, right? You put the consignment number and then you hit the search, you will get the details. You don't need credentials to be there, right? So that's what Appian is comes with the same feature. If you have anything you wanted to create, it will be, you will be able to log in, and then you will see that there's whatever is available to you. You don't have to be logging. It's just the tracking purpose or some information display purpose, you can create the portals. And then we have expression rules. Expression rules are basically, I'd say that in general it's kind of calculated, where you put the details and then you get out of it some your output, right? Not the just the number calculator, like if I wanted to merge two things to text, or if you want to query anything. So all those kind of code we can write into the expression editor. It's, you can say it's a code window, where you can define your set of code, and then you can get an output of it. So you can create a function out of it. Basically you give the input and take the output. AI skill is also part of the artificial intelligence. We will not be touching this one. Now, second is last is a decision. So what's a decision object? Now let's say you wanted to work with the multiple if conditions, right? There are many if conditions are there, like if the text is equal to A, display apple. If the text is equal to B, display ball. If the text is equal to C, display cat. Like if there are many conditions are there, right? So how the code will be very complex. You will have end up with the nested if else conditions. So for that, Appian comes up with a feature decision table, where you can just define A is equal to apple, B is equal to ball, C is equal to cat in the sequential grid manner, and you will be able to get an out of whatever value you will pass it. I have one example recently created. Let me show you for the decision table. There you go. Here you can see this one, right? We can also work with the more than one input. So let me first show you the first single one. Yeah, you see this one, right? A is apple, B for ball, C for cat, D for doctor. Likewise, you have. So if you pass any input, let's say I'm going to pass as an A, I'll get an output as an apple here. So we don't have to write multiple if condition. We just have to pass the value and get an output. So for your easiness, your code, reducing the code complexity, we can create a decision table. It's not just like it can work with a single input, it can also with the multiple inputs. Now what I'm saying is that now input 1 is equal to A and input 2 is equal to K, then return Ajay Kumar. Now let's say I'm going to have A and then K. If I click on test, I'll get the result. Now if I pass something else, let's say I'm going to pass M. So input 1 is equal to A and input 2 is equal to M. We do not have such conditions here with the AND operator, right? So if I click on the test now, I'll get the no name because default is being executed and no name is available for this one. So that's how you can also create complex decision for your requirement and get an output instead of writing multiple if conditions. Is that clear? Any questions? No? Okay. All right. What's next? We have a constant, very important constants. Constants is basically, if you wanted to use a single thing at a multiple place, and then we can make use of a constant. And if you want to define a um, you know different type of objects to be represented, we need to use a constant. Now for example, let's say uh, we are creating this application, right? Wire transaction, so we will be displaying this wire transaction word most of the interfaces, a wire transaction application form, wire transaction, this and that, right? So let's say this wire transaction is being used on our interface at least 20 places. Okay, now business says that wire transaction looks like very incomplete sentence for me. I would like to change to the wire transaction limit. This is a word. Now new word is the wire transaction limit, old word is the wire transaction. Now if they want to make this that changes, and that if you are displaying at 20 places, what we need to do? This is a question, guys. If a general thing, if I ask you, I have a word wire transaction is being displayed at 20 places of the interfaces, so what I need to do to change it to the wire transaction limit? What you will do if you will get this scenario? Come on, tell me. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
you
sir,
are
you are
audible.
audible.
Okay, thank God. Okay, so what do you think? What you will do? There are 20 places we have the word wire transaction, and I want to change it to the wire transaction limit. Is there any punishment of the wrong answer here? Like if you tell the wrong answer, I'll punish something? No, right? All right, so we will be if we have not used anything else, like simply words are there, we have to go and modify all the 20 interfaces, right, for that changes, so that it can reflect all the places. Now imagine instead of this making this 20 interfaces directly word, we would create a constant of type text, and in that constant we are using the word wire transaction. Now this constant is being used all the 20 other interfaces. Okay, now, if the customer says that I need to modify this word from wire transaction to the wire transaction limit, what we need to do is that we just need to update this constant. Once we update this constant, everything will look fine. Everywhere it will get reflected. So that is the use of constant that you can define at one place, and if you change that particular constant, it will immediately impact to all other places where it is being used. Okay. Now, other use of constant is that let's say there are certain Appian functions which require a particular type as an input. Now, let's say, for example, if I talk about the query entity function, the query entity functions requires an entity type. So we cannot just give the entity name and say that, okay, this is the entity I'm trying to pass or I'm trying to hit. So we have to define that particular entity into a constant so that the function will understand that, okay, this is what you are trying to say. Okay. So how do we create a constant? So to create a constant, we go to the new, select a constant, give some name, and Appian suggests one best practice for the constant is that you should always be creating a constant in capital, as a sample constant. Okay, this is sample constant for training. Okay, now you see the type. So we have application, boolean, connected system, data store entity, dates, all the objects that we have in a system in Appian, we have this type of it. So we are going to select, let's say, text, and here we say that wire transaction. So wherever we are using this, we will be using this constant to display the word wire transaction. It will say wire transaction. Now business says that I want to change that to the wire transaction to wire transaction limit. I'll just change this wire transaction limit. So click on save changes. Now all the places the constant will be reflecting, it will start displaying the wire transaction limit. We don't have to go and modify it, all the places manually. Any question? Any question, guys?
No, sir. No, sir. You can continue.
Okay. All right. Okay. Translation set, it is being introduced in the last deployment, I mean last upgrade of this Appian. I need to go through this one. I'll check this one and I'll let you know what this is about, because this is very recently added. One second. All right. And then we have connected system integration in API. This is for to integrate with the third parties. Now let's say what is the connection system. If you want to connect with some like say Azure or Microsoft Excel, or I mean, let me show you what are the connection systems we have. If you want to connect with all these things like HTTP, Open API, Azure MySQL data, DocuSign, so you can connect with this using. Initially, it was very long process. We had to create a lot of connection strings and everything. But now Appian is created very easily that you can simply create it. So if you click on this HTTP platform, let's say, and then it says that okay, what is the name you wanted to give, and then what is the base URL of your third party that you are going to connect, and what's the authentication mechanism. So these are the authentication mechanism we have it. So if you wanted to connect API key, AWS signature versions, you can provide all those details here so that it can get connected. Once the connection will be established, you can utilize this connected system to integrate with that particular third party to bring the data. Okay. So we will be seeing this one. So it is like connected once and use multiple times. This connected system is for just establishing the connections between Appian to third party. Okay. Any question? And then we have integration. Integration is basically for, like, suppose once we connected, let's say we have a service provider called calculator. So we have added with this using this connected system, we have established the connection. Now with the help of this connected system, what we will do, we'll create multiple integrations. So let's say I want to add the I would like to use the add feature, I would like to add a multiplication feature, like different services, right? So we can use the integration object with the help of this connected system, and we can hit that particular service and then get the data back. Okay, so we'll see all those examples. And then here comes the web APIs. So web API is that these two is for the, if you want to connect with a third party and use their services. Now if the third party wants to use our Appian services, then what we need to do in that case, we need to create an API. So if you create an API and expose your one of the service to them, then the third party will be able to query your Appian data, whatever you have exposed here, and you can share the data with them. So that is for the API. So people ask this question, right? What's the difference between integration and API? So basically the difference is that in integration we invoke the services of the third party, and in API we expose our Appian data to the third party. Okay, so that's a basic difference. All right, we have groups like basically we said, right, we created two groups. If you wanted to secure our application, we provide these groups, and if you want to add members to use this application, we need to use this add the use to the group particularly. Group type is just the if you wanted to define a particular group type of your application, specific to your application, you can create a group type out of it. It's just the uh, what I say that it's just the package of the groups. It's a okay, instead of custom group I would like to have it as a application specific. Feed is basically if you wanted to display anything, it's not in use anymore. If you wanted to display any news about your application, you can create a news feed and then you can display that. And then we have folders is basically we are capturing all those information to the folder, right? So we create the folder structure where we can keep our document, our expression rules, our images, everything into a folder. So these are the objects we have. I will repeat once again that we will not be using robotic task, robot pool, AI skills. Transaction set is very new thing added. I will walk through this one and then I'll let you know, because I haven't used this one yet. This is what we have in Appian object, which will help us to create our application. Any question before we move on, guys? And please do ask questions if you have anything. I know it seems like very boring because it's just the overview of the objects, but please be interactive. If you don't ask questions, I'll just simply come here, I'll talk, and then I'll go. You will not be able to explore yourself, right? So please do ask questions. Anything around the objects? Yes, no, not
Yes, sir.
applicable. Yeah.
See
Yep.
here, how we can create attachments or documents?
We'll see that one when we create that. We can see how it will create. So we need to upload those particular attachments to the system. We
Yes.
can do it like, suppose if you want to have anything, any specific to our application like logo and something else, right? We can upload it directly. Now if you want to upload any document regarding your workflow, regarding for your application purpose, then we can have a file upload. Smart services there, interface object, which allows you to upload a file.
Okay. It is not available in the, I mean, data type or data like that there.
No, I mean it's a document, right? So we need to create a document. We have seen that, right? Let me show you again. We can create a new document. You see this one, document. So if you click on this document, you can upload it from here, whatever document you wanted. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we created one table, right? Now who can guide me that how do I create a CDT out of it? So the table that we created, did we create a table or not? I think we created, right? Do you guys remember? Have you created this particular table other day, which we discussed? The customer table, the where we discuss about the customer ID, first name, middle name, last name. Have we created that? Yes, no, guys. Do you remember? Okay, let me check quickly. WT. No, we haven't created. So let's create a new table. If you guys remember, we discussed it for a customer table, right? So I'm going to create a new table. So I'll click on this new icon and I'll give the name as our application specific. We have WT underscore customer. Okay. So we will have this customer ID. It is going to be integer. It's going to be auto increment and then primary key. And then we will have first name. We will have middle name. we have last name. Let's say we require 4 more columns. I hit add 4 column, click on go, and then we had DOB email. So we have DOB. Okay, first name is going to be varchar. Let's say I'm going to assign 50 characters. Middle name is going to be varchar. Let's say assign 50 characters. Last name is also going to be varchar. We can assign a 50 characters. Okay, initially these values can be null, so I'll just check this null checkbox. That so it says that allowing the null values. If somehow if user miss the providing the value, it should accept it. So we are saying that okay, allow the null value for all these fields. So DOB I'm going to put as a date, no need of this length, and then we have email. I'm going to put as a varchar, and I'll say let's say 100 characters long, and then we have gender mobile. It's going to be I'll say varchar. Let's say I put 5 or just 2 M or F. Let's put 10 if wanted to have go with the full thing. And then after gender we have mobile. I'll put as a varchar because we would like to go with the +91. So I'll just say 15 characters long. And one more we would require is active. Is active. It's going to be tiny int. I think similar. Okay, so this is the table structure we have. If you would like to keep the script out of it, you can simply click on the preview SQL. Once you click on the preview SQL, it will generate the SQL file for you. You can copy this and keep it, save it any other places, so you can use this later while deployment. Later, also you can create it later. Right? It will generate a script for you. And then I click on the save. Once we click on the save, now you will see that one table is being created. WT customers. Okay. So if I select this table, yes, again. Okay, so you see this one, it recently there is no data, so it's blank. If you go to the structure, we will be able to see all the structure here. Okay, any question? How do we create this table?
No.
All right. Now, who can guide me if I would like to create a CDT out of that table? How do I create that? I want to create a CDT for that table. How do I create that? Okay, I go to the new, as the data type. What next? Which option I need to select?
Is that the third option?
Yeah, this is the third option. We select the data source, and then we give the table name. Okay, let's continue. Some best practices should be camel casing. Okay, now we have already created one data store, right? So data store is displaying it here. Okay, your application has one data store. So do you like to create an entity? Yes, I would like to create an entity. If you want to change the name of the entity, let's just for example, to understanding purpose, I'll just put underscore entity here. Okay, now if I click on this, let me put some description. CDT for WT customer table. Ideally, you should always keep the name same, whatever the name of your table, the same name you put for your CDT. So you can understand by looking itself that this particular CDT belongs to which table. I'll say create. So you see that my city is created. I have everything details. Now if you go to the data stores as well, one entity is being added here. Customer entity of this particular type. So we have seen this example of employee. Now here we're seeing that automatically how we can create. Now if we click on the verify successfully, it means that connection between this CET and an entity of this particular table is being successfully listed. Now we can make use of this entity to query the data and all. Okay. Any question here? No question, guys? Okay. Now we'll see that how do we insert some data to this table. So we have this table created here. Now let's say not from the application, manually if you would like to put some data. Okay, I click on this insert, and then customer ID I don't need it because it's an auto implement. So I'll just, let's say I'll put some name here. Okay, if I select this all this value, I click on go. Come on, so database is slow today. So one row is inserted. If you go to the browse, you see that one row is being added here. Likewise, let's say if you would like to create another row, second row is created. Now you see that it has two data available here, and 1 and 2 is being auto generated. Okay, so this is like, see, we are inserting the data directly for our purpose. We'll see how do we query the data and all. So that's the reason I'm inserting it here manually. You can also insert through the system. But any question here, guys? First of all, how do we work with this one customer table?
Here, so gender is there, na? Can we able to do like options like male or female, others like that, or drop down
No,
list?
this is a database table, right? I mean, we can have that option into our interface. This is a table. Here we need to
Okay.
put the values, right?
Okay.
Option we will have on your UI.
Okay, fine.
This is a table, right? Yeah. All right. So I think the WhatsApp group will be get created. I will be sharing the details over there, the account details, so that you guys can practice. It's 8:50 now. If I start a new topic, it won't end it here. So let's connect tomorrow, guys, and to continue to how do we query the data. So what we will do is that we have created this data store, we have created this entity, we have had this CDT, and we also have the table is ready where it has certain data. So what we will try to do is that we will try to create a query entity which can query the data from this particular interface to the this particular table from the Appian, so we can make use of, because the requirement is that we need to create a customer search UI where you can go and search for the customer with their name and all, right? Okay, so for that we will be using this query entity, and then everything will get required there. So we'll see how do we start designing interface. First of all, we'll see how do we start a query entity to query the data from the database. Okay, so that's my next step. So tomorrow we will be looking into that, how do we query the data from the database, and then After that, we'll create a customer search UI, and then we'll see how we can make it use. Okay. Any question? No? All right then. Let's connect tomorrow and then we can start the query entity. Okay. It's a big topic. We have many scenarios. Yeah.
Do
Go
we
ahead.
need any manual document? Do
You
we need
mean,
any manual documents?
yeah, I will share some of them. If it is required. I mean, it's everything is there in the Appian community. If you still want it, I will share with that. Let me show you the Appian community. How do you search for it? If you go to the Appian community, okay. Now, if you go to the documentation, it has very nicely. It has written. If I gave you something, I'll give you from here only, right? So let me. Why it says that it's not valid? Come on, it's right here. How do I mark this as a check anywhere else? Something is down with this pin counter document page. Okay, I'll share this one. Don't worry.
Yeah, sir, it was opening for me.
I don't know, something issue from my side. Do you see the documentation? Right.
Yes, sir.
So in the
Yes, sir. We see the
documentation, if you go
documentation.
and search, yeah, if you go and search with the query entity there, anything you wanted to know, learn about it, you can do that. If you want to share your screen, I made you presenter. You can share your screen, Manisha.
Yeah, okay, sir. I'll share my screen.
That means maybe some connection issue from my end. Yeah, you click on the documentation. Is it opening documentation? Hello, Manisha. Are you able to click on this documentation?
Yes, sir. I have opened it. Can you see it?
No, I'm seeing this Appian community page. Anyone else is able to see it?
Yes, sir, I'm able.
We are able to see, but the screen is stuck. It is directly on only on one page, that welcome to Appian community, and on that page only.
Yeah, so Manisha, I think you have not shared the entire browser because we are only seeing this Appian community page, not the documentation. Can you
Okay, okay.
open in the same tab? I think.
Yes, sir. Now you can.
Yeah. Yes, I am. So here you see this one, right? Let's see if you wanted to learn about the query entity. So just type query entity into your search window there. You know, I'm looking for. You will see that search at the top. Scroll. No, at the top. At the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just type the query entity. You see, everything is
Can you
coming.
please provide that link? Yeah, I'll share. Shall I
Just put in the
provide
chat.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sir.
You see below it has the query entity function, so you can use that, and then every documentation you want to learn about, it will be available here. If I give you the Word file, I'll give it from here only, right? So Anyways, if you want it, I will share. But
అది
yeah, still.
షేర్ చేయాలరా ఇది లింక్ అంట ఇది
ఎవరికి నేను మొన్న పెట్టింది పెట్టావా
మాకు చెప్తున్నారు దీంట్లో
ఎవరికి షేర్ చేయాలి ఇది
గ్రూప్ లోనే షేర్ చేయాలి మళ్ళీ
I put it into the chat. You can take it from here.
Control C.
Okay. All right, guys. Now let's connect tomorrow, and then now you can proceed with the the query entities. Okay. All right. Better if you guys go through that and see the functions. It will helpful for you guys. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.